Entirely sure when all of this goes live, so we'll go from here. So this is tricky because Dutta requested that program and preview swap so that he's got program over here and preview over here, which is fine. I've actually been in control rooms where they are swapped. In the United States, generally speaking, that's not the case, but you'll see there are 4 different orientations you'll generally see. This one with preview on the left, program on the right, which makes sense because you generally in English you read left to right, so you move from here over to here. The reverse of that, so program over here and preview over here, and then you also sometimes have them on top of each other, so program on top, preview on the bottom, or again flipped, so any variation of those. Generally speaking, you'll note that the program and preview screens are usually the same size, but I was in one control room once where the preview screen was smaller and the size of the other screens, and it was super annoying because you could get lost in the control room and not know where you were. So for those of you who are watching tomorrow, the live show last week, you may have noticed a couple of things. First, we got Jared a new camera. That was actually a demo camera that was sent to me just to play around with and see if I liked it. And I loved it. Like, this camera blew me away. And so as soon as we were done with the show, I was like, yep, we're buying these. And so I, in fact, bought them. They're actually out on the set, and I'll be installing them with you tonight. The other problem that we had was the encoder took a nosedive. We've had that encoder since before we moved into Station 204. I have had this encoder, let's see here. This was an encoder that I purchased for Space Vidcast to test for Company X to see if we wanted to use it. So I think it's like 8 or 9 years old at this point. So the fact that it finally gave up the ghost, like, that was a good run. That was a really good run. Not super unsurprising. So you can actually, I really like Blackmagic gear. Some people don't like it because it's not like the high-end premium made with platinum video equipment in the industry, right? It just isn't. It's not always completely and totally bulletproof. But it's at a price point where it doesn't need to be. This is like a $500 4K 12 gig SDI encoder. $500. If I wanted to get this same capability, I would have to spend, well, if I do the Epiphan system, it's about $7,500. If I do a Teradek system in 4K, I'm not using it in 4K mode, but still it would be about $5,000. Like, it's crazy how much less money I have to spend on this to get basically the same thing. So then, okay, it's not bulletproof. I buy 2. And even when I buy 2, now I've got an A and a B string, and I still spent 5 times less, 2.5 to 5 times less than I would have spent had I done anything else. And good evening, Zeke. So Colton, I think, is working on linking the chat rooms for me, although I'm not quite ready for that. Oh yeah, he has linked it. Here's where, so you can see, I can't really bring it up on program because if I do that, you get infinite return, but it's nice because you can see, like, I can see that it's on air, I can see that it's streaming, I can see the quality it's streaming at. We send it 4K, we record in 4K, but we only stream in 1080p. Here at tomorrow, simply for the latency reasons. If I stream 4K on YouTube, I get 40 seconds of latency, and to me, the conversation is very important. And I want to get that latency as low as possible. And in order to do that, I can't go past 1080p, which is fine, frankly. For most users, for something like this, you don't need 4K. I use 4K in the studio to, like, test it out and make sure that, Casper CG is going to work and all my stuff is going to work as expected, but, it doesn't always. Okay, so here we go. This is another thing that I'm working on. So I'm also working on getting my Ubuntu system up to date. So I'm trying to get all of the software installed and working. So you'll have to give me a moment. I'm going to head back into engineering and actually see if I can't get this update going because I want to get all the security updates going. Once I have that going, we'll have the full screen graphics available to us again, as well as the overlays, which will enable Colton's chat system. CCS, Colton's chat system. I think we should refer to it as CCS from now on. All right, I'll be right back. God, do I have can I... Oh, it will work. Check this out. All right, watch this. We're gonna, I suppose I could just, sorry. These cables are stupid long. I don't know why DPA does that. I guess they expect that you're going to, I didn't label it. Okay, so now at least you can hear me, and let me, I'll cut that over so you can see what I'm doing. Zeke says, I hate the 5-second delay for some Twitch streams. Well, keep in mind, you know, the lowest you're getting anywhere is going to be about 4 to 5 seconds, including YouTube. You're just not going to get lower than that. Well, that's not true. You can use a different technology stack like WebRTC or low latency Dash or low latency HLS. Where did I put the keyboard? Oh, I put it in here so I could actually do everything together. But, well, low latency HLS and Dash will get you, you know, like 2 to 4 seconds if configured correctly. Let's do a continue, install now. Isn't this fascinating watching me install Ubuntu updates? Here, I can cut back to this. So you're not going to really get lower than that at mass distribution. And the thing to remember, I feel like I'm really loud. Let's pull this back a little bit. The thing to remember is that when you're watching broadcast television, that's delayed as well. It's not real time. In fact, in many cases, broadcast television will be more latent than your web streams, depending upon the streaming settings. So if you use normal latency or lowest latency in YouTube, that's probably going to be faster than broadcast television. There's a lot of latency. You just, generally speaking, don't have a temporal anchor, so you don't know how far behind real time you actually are. But when it comes to real-time interactions like this, you kind of do have a temporal anchor. It's a little bit easier to see how latent you actually are based on the response time from the hosts. So, all right. Yeah, and actually, as Zeke says, live, I almost hit the button as if that were going to do anything. All right, did that actually work, or is this still installing? I think this is still installing. Ugh. Restart now. Watch it totally nuke itself. So the tricky bit, yeah. So I moved to Ubuntu for our social system because I got sick of Windows. Windows kept dumping on me, and it was all sorts of an issue, and it was just super annoying. And I had a point. Oh, and it just kept crashing, and so, although, see, there it goes. I wonder if it's the computer. I wonder if there's a BIOS problem. Here. Neat, huh? Oh, wow. I can see in the previous screen, like, I had electrolysis, so I can see all of the damage and swelling on this part of my face right here. It's actually, you can see it drooping down from the, I can feel it, actually. All right, hang on. Let me go power cycle that box and see what I can do. Come on. There you go. All right, and I lost this. Oh, I think I actually full on lost. Oh, it overheat. You know, so like I said, I like Blackmagic gear because the price makes sense. You get decent performance. You get a lot of bang for your buck. But as an example, if I were to call up my multi-view, let's see. Actually, you can kind of see it right here. That shouldn't be black. That should actually be one of the Tomorrow logos. It's Zoom Room 1, Screen 4, or excuse me, Screen 3. And the reason it's down is because the HDMI to SDI media converter has crashed, and that's because the Terranex Minis that we use, they do their... What would this be? Let's do this. Oh, you know what it would have been? It would have been... Wow, I feel like the resolution of this has just taken a note. Whoa! Okay, let's, clearly the resolution is busted. Here, this is what it looks like. Let's see if we can't. Cool. Display settings. Now, if I remember right, I can't get resolution. 800 by 600. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, it won't let me. See, this is where Ubuntu sucks. Because why aren't you letting me choose something else? What are you doing? Let's see if I can get to NVIDIA. All right, let's do this. Cool. How neat is that? All right. Yeah, Zeke is saying when they moved to Ubuntu, it gave them more trouble than Windows. And is this the same HP that I've been fighting since forever? Yeah, it is. So I'm starting to think it's not the operating system because I feel like these are the same issues. So maybe it's memory space or something. But like, yeah. Let's see, what is it? What I want to do? Can I do driver? Additional drivers. Maybe it nuked my NVIDIA drivers. Yeah, this is unhappy. Okay. I want, oh, we don't have the high performance driver. Neat. Yeah, we clearly don't want that. So 470, 460, we want 495. Right? There we go. Let's use 495 and see what we get. Apply changes. God, 2004, has it really? Chat room says that Jamie's gone back to 2004. I feel like this is like in the 90s. How fascinating was. So basically today what I'm going to do is, we can chat about anything you guys want to chat about. You'll watch me just kind of getting the control room up to date. I moved the microphone per Dada's request, so hopefully it's where he wants it. You can watch me struggle with the Ubuntu system. I'm not convinced this is where I need to stay. I'm open to options. Like if the chat room has better ideas as to what operating system I should use. You know, Xanax Volpe asks, I was about to ask if Ubuntu has, I could bring up the chat room. It would be hilarious. Hey God, let's just see what this looks like. Hang on. Hang on, let me bring this question up. The question is, I was about to ask if Ubuntu has improved your workflow. Oh, there you go. There you go. You can actually see it on screen. It's got those wonderful, wonderful bars on the top and bottom, and you can see the incredibly low resolution that it's running at. Let me nuke that. Ugh. I mean, by the way, our chat system is just that simple. It's actually pretty cool. I like the simplicity of it. I like that it's just a web page. Wesley asks, thoughts on Windows 11 versus Windows 10? I don't have any thoughts on Windows 11 versus Windows 10. I've not used Windows 11 yet. I haven't been in an environment where, like in here, I haven't... in the broadcast realm, you don't just run into upgrades. To be fair, that's kind of what this control room is for, is to test those upgrades and see how they work. Having said that, like, I don't feel like it's quite ready yet. I don't know how the decklink drivers are going to work, and we do use Casper CG for a whole bunch of stuff, and so I don't know. You know, I don't know that I'm. Hang on, let's bump that down to live. Yeah, and Zeke says, stick with 10 for a while. I have 11 on my laptop, and they've removed some things I do daily. You know what I really want them to do, the gripe I have with Windows, Windows 10 effectively, is it's like 3 operating systems comorphed together in that, you know, let's use your network settings as an example. You have like 3 completely different UIs to change your IP address that clearly go back in time and are, you know, you've got like the really legacy stuff, the medium legacy stuff, and then the fairly new stuff. And it's super annoying that it's like that. You should have just like one cohesive user interface for your stuff. And those are the little things that annoy me with Windows. Wow, this is really not, this does not want to keep updated. Colton, you're right. It keeps the, let's keep this live. Stay alive. All right. Wesley saying, yeah, one of the things Windows 11 is better at than 10 is, okay, hang on, we got this. Cool, close. Now, can I just do this? Or do I need to reboot? Ugh. I think I'm going to need to reboot. Gross. All right. This is really hard to do because it's wireless and really laggy. Let's do a full power off, shall we? What do you think? Just take it all the way down. Let's do that. Okay. I'll be right back. Let's see if we can get the system to play a little nicer. If that doesn't work, maybe I can manually load the edid from the device. And if this doesn't work, then I think I'm going to give up on Ubuntu and just move back to Windows for this system, because I'm already making compromises to make it go. Having said that, other than this update, unlike Windows, this system has run for weeks now without needing a reboot. And Windows needed a reboot before every single show, and it was beyond annoying. So here's where we're at. Maybe I just need BIOS updates or something for this system. Happy Thanksgiving, Alan. Great to have you in the chat. Oh, this is already looking... Wow. Markedly different. Much, much better. That's a little bit annoying that it does that. Okay, let's... I forgot. I have these startup scripts, so in case the system crashes, it will actually automatically bring it back into, like, already you can see the difference. Well, at least I can. But let me, boy, it really does not want to. Huh. Let's see if the lower thirds are running. And we'll do the Happy Thanksgiving one, shall we? Why? That popped up on OBS. Why did it not come out on? That's the CG. Okay, let's close this for now. Can I just get it? Wow, I really cannot get this to close out. Let me get the keyboard closer. Let's kill the desktop then. That's neat. How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Alright. Let's see if we can figure out. Did that show up on screen? I mean, I know it showed up in my... Hang on, we'll just cut over here so you can see what I'm doing. We'll click on this one, so I should see it. So you see how it's showing up on the bottom there? It should also show up on the air. So something is not happy. Output. No, it's video. Ugh, OBS. Your menus. It is 24. Was it output? Maybe it's advanced. God, I do not remember where to get the SDI output from. I don't think it was stream. No. I thought it was output, streaming, recording. Yeah, I don't need encoding. Need desktop body. Oh, it would be so cool. Here's the other thing. I can't do Dante with Ubuntu. There's no there's just nothing. Okay, that's all neat. Output scaled resolution. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Okay. Oh, you know what? Hold on, that's right. It's a submenu. It's a different menu. Decklink output. That's right. 23. Oh, well, first off, this should be... Can I not do 24? Nope. So it didn't start the output for some reason, even though auto start on launch is set. Thanks, OBS. That's fantastic. Let's try this one more time. There we go. Huzzah. You can see it on the screen now. Whoop, whoop, there you go. Now you can see that working. So now you're seeing a little bit behind the scenes as to like how we get everything to go using OBS as kind of a playback engine with the Decklink system. And then all I do, because Colton has, oh yeah, you know what I want to do? I want to check the resolution. So first off, you can already see just the UX is a much, yeah, it's 1920 and all right, well, that's fine. Let's at least, really? All right, well, the control room one's at 24 hertz, or 24 frames per second. So let's at least make it a little bit easier on the scalers on the switcher, although I don't know that it's going to make any difference. I really wish that this would detect it as 3840 by 2160, because that is what the media converter is capable of. But I kind of don't care because, like, by the time this, frankly, we're streaming at 1080p, so who cares? And then I do this, I do this, I do F11, and then I do this, just to get the mouse out of the way. Okay, so I feel like, hold up. Is that typeface wrong? Yeah, there you go. And thank you, Colton. Trying to remember. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I mean, that'll work too. There we go. Let's try this. There we go. All right, cool. Now it's scaling correctly. Sweet. So now we've got, the computer is up to date. So my Ubuntu installation's up to date. It's a little bit harder than I wanted it to be, but at the same time, that's more user error, I think, than operating system error. And you guys watched me struggle with Windows. And I do know Windows a lot better than I know Ubuntu. And that was a whole lot of the system just blue screening on me. I might have bad memory in this box. Like, something's going wrong. But system is working. It's outputting. We can do comments now. Awesome. So let's move out to the control room. And actually, oof. So I'll bring you over here. This is my screen. So this is what the technical director sees. Alan asks if, so you can see I hit the green button and I say yes, do I want to push this to air? And it brings that up on the bottom of the screen. So we don't really use a chat functionality like this at Company X, so I don't do this. However, a lot of the tools that I'm testing here, I personally test, where do I have it? Media Player 1. So what I'm going to do is over here. I'm going to go to Media Player 1 on the TV, so it gets rid of that. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I actually have camera control. So you're not going to be able to see, but I go here, and then I go to camera 2, and you notice that the focus is a little bit soft, right? So can I do, all right. And okay, so you're not going to be able to fully see it, but you can see I'm going to go down here into my software, and I'm going to roll my focus, and you can see the image coming into focus. And so, oops, and I missed. I could also hit autofocus if I wanted to, but I'm stubborn. One interesting thing that you may not know is if you look at that TV and then you look at this source, you'll note that they're pretty similar in color, right? There's not a whole lot of chrominance shift or luminance shift between the two. That's freaking hard to do. So when you look at that television in person, it does not look like this at all. There's almost no color on the screen, and it's super duper dark. And the reason for that, oh, and it's really red. I can't see it from here. We had to like roll the hue on the TV really far to one side. And I think we were removing blue, if I remember right. We might have been removing red. I don't remember. Adding red, whatever we did. And it took a long time, and we had to do it to 2 separate TVs. And the reason for that is because the backlights on the TV aren't shooting the same kind of light that our foreground lights are shooting. It's a completely different color temperature. And so nothing looked right. And so when we were cutting between this screen and the, whatever was going up there, say Zoom rooms, you would see this radical shift in color temperature, and it was super duper annoying. So we spent a long time getting those color calibrated. I love this set too. Thank you, Alan. Oh, and you know what? And Zeke says, I like the colorful background. I do too. I kind of, let me get out on the set and then we'll start doing some camera stuff, shall we? All right, so let me go to camera 2 because that's the one that's active. Grab my coffee because that's what I need. So, I really like, so keep in mind, we started doing this colorful thing a couple of years ago. Actually, I think it was either just before or just after I started gender transition, so that would be in 2019. This is before Apple announced their M1, which has that kind of black logo with the colors around it. I need to grab the keyboard and mouse and change the social screen. Give me a second, everyone, sorry. So, like, that is already the look that I like. I think the problem with the colorful background is I'd like to take, what I want it to be is kind of like a black and white image with a splash of color. I don't want it to be just this huge hit of color, kind of like it is right now. It's not bad, but it's a little bit too much. So what I'm thinking of doing is like vignetting kind of around the outside a little bit, or I don't know, but it's too much color. I always had intended on going back and like tweaking it a little bit, but time is difficult. I got to figure out where I'm going to spend my time, and that's just not one of those things that's super important right now, so that never happened. I'll stay on the lapel mic so that I can walk around. Let's see here. Carlos says it's, and thank you, it's those, this is going to be tricky. It's those little details that really add to the production value of the show. Yeah, so, and Zeke, I'll get to your comment in a moment. So I think that it's interesting, right? Because I've moved us to a podcast format, which by its nature can be less production-y. Like we can lower our quality and people would accept it for a podcasty type of show. But I don't want, I don't want to. This is something that I enjoy and love doing, and it's kind of, it's my playground, right? And I don't want it to look shitty. I don't want it to sound shitty. I want it to look and sound great. I want people to go, wow, that's really, really cool. And so I'm going to spend the extra time, I'm going to spend the time to come in on Thanksgiving Eve to do Ubuntu updates and to install brand new cameras. And, we don't make that much money per month. And so I just shovel money into the show lovingly and willingly. And I still buy cameras because it's just something I love to do. This is a Logitech keyboard. This is not my favorite Logitech keyboard. Zeke asked if this is a Logitech. Right now I don't have control of the switcher from over here because I didn't bring my laptop. It's actually in that box. So is it a Logitech keyboard? It is. It's okay. There's a much better Logitech keyboard. This is just a cheap one that I grabbed because we needed one really quickly. I should actually go grab another one because this and the wireless dongle run the social screen that I'm looking at on camera. But it also, if I need to do updates to like Ubuntu, I have to unplug the dongle and move it to the Ubuntu computer and do it that way. That sucks. So, and Zeke had a really interesting comment a moment ago, and I can relate. At least you don't have to, I lost it. At least you don't have to match the frequency. I remember recording a scene with a TV, which meant you could see the bands go up and down. Yeah, you had to do, you had to synchronize the shutter of your camera to the screen. And we are going back a long way, so forgive me, but I believe you needed the screen to run at a faster refresh than what your shutter was running. So you had to slow your shutter down. I don't think I have that backwards. I think you needed a slower shutter than what your screen was running to prevent the banding, or you needed a crazy fast shutter so that it was one other thing. Yeah, Zeke, this is a very low-cost Logitech keyboard with a touchpad, and that is precisely what we got it for. We needed it in a pinch. So, yeah. Oh, Colton, yeah. Asking, actually, I've been thinking about this, Colton. Give me an idea for new lower thirds. So what I'd love to do is incorporate kind of this color band. You can actually see me playing with ideas in the tomorrow thumbnails. And when you look at the tomorrow episodes, which I just realized I've not released the podcast episode, the audio-only podcast episode for this last one. But if you look, there's this, I take a slice of this right down the middle and I make it just this little line at the bottom, right where the scrub bar would be. And so you end up with this kind of like colorful looking almost scrub bar at the bottom of the screen. I'm trying to do kind of a slash down the side, but it feels too NASA spaceflight. Not that I don't like NASA spaceflight, but I don't want to copy anyone else, right? I want us to be our own thing. So that's not feeling right to me. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know. Yeah. I wonder if a white logo. Yeah, so this here being a white logo, I think you're right. I think that needs to, I think on this screen, everything needs to vignette in a little bit, or we need to darken this, we need to reduce, or maybe I do a color, like a band down the middle and then just the white logo. I'm not sure. And Colton asks thoughts on animation. I'm not entirely sure yet. I think the animation will be driven by the design. And so I'm not... Carlos says, what about the T from... You guys are just hitting me with lots of comments. I was going to install cameras, but like these are really good comments. What about the T from the Tomorrow logo? We actually used to do that. We actually had kind of a... We took the T and stuck it on its side, and so it kind of swooped like this and made a white bar that kind of went up like that. I did like that. That's not a bad idea. What I could do... I could actually make that a black bar and then make the shadow that goes into the image, instead of a black drop shadow, make it the rainbow drop shadow. So that creates that kind of subtle rainbow effect. So you get that kind of, it's not really rainbow, it's a colorful galaxy, but do that kind of colorful galaxy across the shadow. And so it's just this little colorful detail. Or I could continue to do white, I'm not sure. And Colton said, you know, try to match and come up with something. Well, Colton, this is in reference to the lower thirds that are on the bottom of the screen. I would hold just for a moment because I'm not satisfied with where we're at with regards to thumbnails or anything else. So I don't know what this is actually going to look like when it's all said and done. Xanax Volpe, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, says, and I'm sorry, I'm going backwards a little bit here. I'm impressed on how over time the show ebbs and flows with changes. Really interesting to watch. You know, it's interesting that you say that. A lot of people hate the fact that I change the show constantly. And the thing that I think a lot of people forget is I'm just playing, right? This is a fun project for me, and if I get bored with the show the way it is, then I'm going to change it. And people think that I'm in it for like viewership or, you know, whatever the case may be, and I'm not. I'm here to have fun. And so if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to do it. And so then I'm going to change it so that I'm having fun. I think the new format, the podcasty format, is tons of fun. I don't stress out over creating rundowns in advance. I don't have to yell at people about creating, you know, content and pulling images and whatnot. We sit down and we have a conversation. And I think we laugh, we enjoy ourselves. I sound like a freaking idiot on the air from time to time and show my gaps in knowledge, which I'm more than happy to do. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Let's see here. All right, so let's do this. We got a couple of things going on today. So first off, I've got the microphone that has the brand new shock mount on it for the blue microphones. And this is a substantially better shock mount. It actually holds the microphone, although this just tipped on me. So, yeah. So I need to, and this is actually off, so I don't know why I'm doing that. These are tube microphones, believe it or not. So that's why they have kind of that unique sound to them. They sound kind of podcasty. They sound kind of radio-y, but they kind of have that unique, they're just a little bit different. And that's what I like about them. I really love that kind of unique, it's a little more airy sound that you get out of these than you get out of the Shure or anything else. Also, they look freaking cool. I love the way they look. So, but the shock mounts were, like so that shock mount on that one, horrendously awful. And so I actually, snarky, I was snarky, and I was a bit, I didn't think that they would do anything. I basically opened a support ticket with Blue. And I was like, hi. I can't get your mounts to lock. The mics keep moving. Am I doing something wrong, or am I missing a part in the mount? Full well knowing that it was a piece of crap mount that is not designed to hold this much weight. And I didn't expect an answer, and I thought they would just say, nope, just lock it hard. And that was going to be the end of it. But they didn't. They came back and they're like, you're absolutely right. And we have new mounts that are coming out that will hold our heavier microphones. You can't buy them yet. I'll send you a couple for free. And I went, holy the what? So we got these new shock mounts for free, and it blew me away. Like, now I'm definitely going to buy more Blue microphones. What incredible support that is. Also, yeah, I was absolutely blown away. Now, don't get me wrong. These are $1,000 microphones, and then I actually have another kit on this that adds another like $1,000 or so to the different elements, so that I have different pickup elements. So, you know, we've spent a good $4,000 on microphones. Hello, Felicia. Felicia asks, how was your day? Hold up. It's hard for me. There we go. How was your day? My day was fantastic. And Felicia is also new, but I seem great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Felicia. Fantastic day. If you're from the United States, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I'm spending a little bit of time upgrading the studio. One other thing I'd like to ask the chat room is I'm considering doing a pivot on the entire set so that we can get a little bit more of the window or zooming out of the camera. And actually, I'm going to do that right now simply because I'm going to start doing work on camera upgrades, and I want you guys to be able to see it. Actually, let's do this. Let's do it on camera 1. There we go. And I'll pull this backwards. Cool. So camera 1 has already been upgraded. Let me go punch to that. Sorry, I don't have my laptop out, so I have to run back into the control room, run all the way back in here, just so I can go to that camera. So, Oh my God, I love these cameras so much. Actually, fun factoid. Okay, I'm gonna show you a little secret. Hang on, spacewalk, airlock. Cool, I'm through the airlock. Spacewalk. Cool, so right here, see this? Can you see it through the glass? I don't know if you can see it. That's the electrical panel. So normally our cameras are framed. That's actually, we painted the front of it black to coordinate with the wall. Normally you can't see it. So yeah. Zeke says it's almost 8 and I see a grande coffee at, yeah, this is just a grande cold brew. When I started transition, sorry, we're over here now. So I started gender transition and I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to lose 30 or 40 pounds. And so I cut out a good chunk of sugar. Well, really sugar at first. And that meant no more soda and no more sweeteners in my drink. And so I just moved to black coffee. And, I acclimated to that very, very quickly. And I've learned to really, truly appreciate the taste of coffee without anything in it. And this isn't... I don't hate Starbucks coffee, but I don't love it either. It's very middle of the road. I think their cold brew is actually some of their better coffee. I think this is better than most of their hot drinks. So, yeah. It's not the best in the world, but I think it's like, if Starbucks is right in the middle, this is like 2 notches above that. So, yeah. Okay, so camera 1 is done. This is the shock mount that Blue sent me for this microphone. So we'll do that in a minute. Let's see. This is my M1 MacBook, so I can actually do some camera switching. Ugh. Ooh, and a dead battery. See, the problem is the battery on this is so good, I never charge it. And so, yeah. Can I... Oh, I can do that. The network is going to be super pissed off at me, but that's okay. I need one of these, one of these. I think this is powerful enough. I'm getting pinged. Punged? Panged? Pinged? Paranged? Okay, I don't know what I did with my phone. Well, let me get the power supply set up. Oh, let's get the Stream Deck going too. All of the tools. All right. Oh yeah, that's right. The one thing I don't like about the MacBook Air is that all the USB-C ports are on the left side. But in this particular case, it sure would be handy if I had an USB-B port on the right side. Okay. All right, like this. Close enough. And then, let's see. This. Okay, the whole TV's gonna go down, but screw it. Yep, I know you're angry. I got it. I understand. The world is horrible. Okay. Oh yeah, my poor cat. She's got like a UTI or something. So we brought her to the emergency vet, or Carrie Ann did. I think it was yesterday, launch night. Give me a bloop. Cool. And we're struggling to get her meds because, I mean, she just doesn't want to, right? Oh yeah, let me check this, make sure that wasn't Carrie Ann. Huh. Hang on. Sorry. Sorry, where was I? Oh, it's hot in here. Okay, so this is up. Let's see if we can get, I don't want. PoE is kicking back in because I reset the network. Applications. Did it not start? Launch GUI. Huh? Rescan USB. There we go. We have control. Great. So, can I go to social? Oh, huzzah. This is great. So now I can turn this back on. Cool. All right, now let's get those cameras going. So I'm going to reuse the glass from the existing cameras. These are the new ones. There you go. There's one. Here's two. Great. So so this is camera one. This is, all three cameras have the exact same glass. It's Olympus 7-14 MFT. I forget it's f-stop. I want to say it's 2.8 all the way through. I could be crazy. Yeah, here's the thing, Zeke. So Zeke says, ugh, I can't. Oh, you know what? I can do it this way. I have my computer now. Chat to tomorrow.tv. Oh my God. Oh, you know what I can do? Check this out. Let's be awesome. You want me to be awesome? I'm going to be awesome. Whoops. No. What? Okay. Sweet. Okay, now, well, I think the nebula on the TV looks brighter now. It probably does because the entire image is brighter. Here's the amazing thing. This camera right now has a gain of 0. Let me get it setting so I'm actually telling you the correct things. And we move the cameras over here. A gain of 0. Its shutter is actually 1/50th, but I think we actually need to somewhere in here, right? So 1/75th. This camera, which is the old camera, has a gain of plus 6 dB. On my HML balances, I'm plus 1.37%, and I'm running a shutter of 1/24th. It's the exact same lens. So, and it's plus 6 dB, you're doubling and then doubling again. So that is a lot more light that is going into that sensor. Well, the thing is, so Zeke is saying it looked so bright, it was a little washed out too. The thing to note about this camera is I haven't fully balanced it yet. So I basically got the camera, I slammed it on there and went, oh my God, these are way brighter. And I haven't actually fully configured the color settings for it. And I can't find my color balance cards. So I was kind of eyeballing it. I think actually I can, if I play with this, like you saw that I took it down a little bit. Oopsies. I took it down a little bit. I think somewhere in there looks nice. And then if we go in here, I can actually make it a little more contrasty if I wanted to, and that's too much. We'll leave that as is. So yeah, here you go. This is the new camera one. The other really nice thing about these new cameras is that when I power cycle them and bring them back up, they don't roll their focus all the way back to 0, so they actually come back up exactly where it was before. And these lenses are not constant aperture all the way through, so when I zoom in, I do lose light. But here you go. This is the shot on this, right? This is what this looks like. This is the brightness. Now I'm going to install one of these cameras and I'll kind of show you the difference. So let's see if I can do this. This is the old camera. It does not have a lens attached to it, so I have an MFT lens here. I don't know, again, I can't tell if it's in focus or not. On the side, I've got full-size XLR input for audio input. I've got 1/4-inch audio for comms, which is a weird, I've never used 1/4-inch audio for comms ever in broadcast. So I wish this was 4 or 5 pin XLR, but it is what it is. And then that is a lank control right there for whatever you might need to do for like handlebar control over lank. This was actually kind of cool. I actually did enjoy this, although I think what they're doing now is even better. This is an SFP. A small form factor pluggable, and this is a 6 gig SFP, meaning I can move 4K video at 2160 up to 30 frames per second off of this, and this is fiber optic. So I just use LC single mode fiber, and I can go to a remote side and make that go. If I don't want to do that, these are 12 gig SDI ports that are coax, so I could just self-terminate my own cables, and that's what we actually use in the control room. And then I've got 4-pin 12-volt power sitting right over here. Then I've got a giant hood and a huge gigantic screen that is not a touch screen on the back and a bunch of buttons. So these are nice. This one is the old model that has the battery built, like these, I bought these a while ago. These have the battery built into them, which means you can't really fly with them. So, and really, it's a little bit annoying that they have a battery, because if you go to power down the camera, like the battery runs, then the battery gets like aged. They don't have batteries anymore. I agree with that decision. So here we go. So it's a similar setup. Also, these are the Pro models, and they're under $2,000 each, which I think is phenomenal. They now have their own quick release plates for the tripod, and it supports rail kits as well. Now, I'm not going to use these because I don't use a rail kit, and I don't need quick release. It's got, I'll show you these in a moment, but those are basically the camera identifiers. And then this camera is much sleeker and smaller. Check this out. So it's still MFT, so I can use the exact same glass. This is my new tally light. It supports green and red tally. I don't actually know if it's RGB tally back there. It'd be kind of cool if it was, and I could do like, if you were going into like a key or whatever. On this side, well, actually, let's do this side first. So over here, we've got actual 5-pin headset audio, right? So I can run an actual comms headset on this system finally, which is fantastic. I've got, again, 3-pin XLR audio input, and then I've got 2 USB-C ports, which they've got their own focus and zoom controllers that you can plug into the USB-C, which aren't shipping yet, but I'm super eager for, not necessarily for my control room, but for other control rooms. And then over yonder, so then on the back, you actually have, you can see it's a little bit of a smaller form factor, but I love this. Isn't that great engineering? How cool is that? And the really nice thing is, if you have an Ursa camera and you use the Studio Viewfinder, this is basically set up exactly the same. It's the same size, and it's the same layout as the Studio Viewfinder, which is really nice. I really love the way it feels in the hand. Over here, I have a Hitomi output, which I can use for 4K if I wanted to. I feel like I should have gotten chat messages by now. So either my chat room crashed on me, or let me just go to studio.youtube.com, or I've bored everyone. Or you're all so interested you're not saying anything. Let me go to my account. Let's go over here, go in here. Yeah, I think chat bailed on me. Okay. Well, let me see. Yeah, I'm not getting those updates in my chat room. Hello, Jared. Good morning from Hungary. It's 5 a.m. Yeah, it's 8 p.m. over here. Colton said it did go poof. Yeah, like, it's fine. Oh, I like your avatar, Colton. Okay, so anyhow, I'm just going to continue with my story. So, has Hitomi over here, and yes, I don't say HDMI and I don't say USB-C because I think it's funny to say Hitomi and USB-C because it catches people off guard and they're like, wait, what are you talking about? So Hitomi and SDI is City. And I do this at work too, and I do it in meetings, not official meetings, just meetings with people that like already know me, like my team, and they just shake their head at me. It's funny. It's funny. So SDI, input and output. The input is that you can send camera control back to it, but this is the bit that I think is really cool. This is 10 gig Ethernet, and it replaces the fiber SFP. The thing with the fiber, and again, I can't tell if it's in focus, so I apologize. The thing with the fiber, oh, and then 4-pin power, like you've got, yeah, 12 volt power and then 12 volt, I don't know why there are two 12 volt powers, and I don't think this, oh no, it does do PoE. So the thing with that Ethernet port is you can connect a camera control unit to the flip side of that, and you can basically off of one Ethernet cable run the entire camera, which is really freaking cool. So instead of running fiber optic and power, I just need a simple RJ45 connection to a Cat6a cable, and I've got the entire camera going at that point. Let's see if I can get this going. So here you go. You can actually see, here's this camera running on battery power because it's not connected to anything, which is neat. I'm not gonna lie, like it is cool. So I could actually run this like this. I could throw a Teradek bolt on here. I'm just not gonna do that. So this is camera ID 12. Yeah, so I'm really excited. Now the CCUs, the camera control units, I don't believe are shipping yet. So I'm still waiting for those to come out, and then I'm eager to try, like I'll probably move my control room, all 3 cameras, I'll probably move over to the CCU. I'll run new Cat6a cable through the wall and get that going and see if I like that. And if I do like that, then at Company X for the mobile control room that we use for like big events and whatnot, I will move to that system. Well, maybe. I would like the image off of the Ursa Mini quite a bit. I like the depth of field. I think it's a nice, I just think it's a nice clean looking image. So I'll have to evaluate that and see, just see. Carlos says, I'm quietly absorbing all the info. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is ever useful. Lens goes this way, okay? And then I want this to be, where's the center of gravity? It's like here. We'll do that there. Hello, chat room. Okay, thank you for the reset, Colton. Appreciate it. Come on, keep back. Come on, I believe in you. There we go. Great. So I'm plated, and again, I don't use the Blackmagic plates, but I may in the future. So for those who don't know, you've got to, for any lens on any camera, let me do this closer. For any lens on a camera, I don't know how well this will show up, you've got a release right here, right? So you press that and you rotate the release. And then you've got a, on the camera itself, when I do this, I'm going to try to do this quickly. You'll see that I've got a red dot on the lens, and I've got a red dot on here. So when you're putting the lens onto the camera, you line the 2 red dots up, and then you just rotate into place. So as long as, so you don't have to go searching, the dots will tell you exactly where you need to go. I'm going to try to keep dust off of the sensor, so I'm going to move these quickly. Always recap your sensor and your lenses. Dust does not do them well. Cool. All right. Red dot to red dot. Now, I want to point out, I'm moving the exact same optics from the old camera to the new one. And the nice thing is, because it has the same type of power, I don't have to rebuild any of my cables. I'm just going to drop this in place. Give it camera number 12, because the first cameras on my switcher are actually not the cameras for the control or for the studio. They're actually all of the zoom channels. Let's get this plugged in. It goes this way. 1, 2. Ooh. Okay. Sorry, I know you guys can't see this. I'm just plugging cables in. All right, we'll bring this up. I'm excited for this because I'm not going to change the settings. I'm going to try to get it in a similar zoom. English. And then let me That's amazing. I need to do... This one is a touchscreen, which is nice. Cool. So, this is a little bit amazing. Here we go. Now, I want to point out the camera settings are sent to the camera through the switcher. The lens is the same lens that we had on the old camera. So this is the difference in the sensitivity of the sensor. You all remember what that old camera looked like. Here's what it looks like now. That is how much more light this camera allows into the system. This is so bright it's not usable, which is a fantastic problem to have. It's always difficult to add more light in. It's easy to take light out. So let me, in fact, let me do exactly that. So we're going to bring our gain down to 0. So that should have already somewhere in there, right? I'm going to run an autofocus just to see how it does. So I'm at 0 dB gain. Oh, you know what? Hold up. This needs a reset. There we go. Too much. It is really hard to tell if this is in focus or not. Let me check. Okay, so there we go. I feel like this is going to need some color. The thing is, these are different sensors, and so they need a little bit more color balancing than before. But we will do this just to kind of bring it back to fairly normal levels. I think it's still a little bit bright. I don't have it up on a scope, but you get the idea. Zeke says they could have kept the SFP. I think that can still do Ethernet PoE. So yes, they could have kept the SFP, but the SFP is a component that can and often will fail. It also generates quite a bit of heat. So I don't necessarily disagree with them removing the SFP. It also adds quite a bit more complexity. And the thing is, at least for me, on a camera like this, I don't want complexity. I want it to be very simple. I want to put, excuse me, I'm sorry. I want to put it up. I want to make sure it's going to work, and you know, just go from there. So, oh yeah, yikes. Okay, we need a little bit of color balancing here. Let's see here. We need to pull this down almost 1,000 degrees. Ooh, not 1,000 degrees. It's still a bit bright. Okay, I'm trying to color balance off of a consumer grade monitor. I have no idea if I got that right. Hue is zeroed out. You get the idea. So this is a much cleaner image, but what's really cool, let me, oh God, how am I going to show this? Because the moment I rotate a camera around, I can't show it. Let's see here. I will try to, okay, yeah, let's do this. There we go. So I rotated camera 1 around, and if I go to camera 1, you can now kind of see camera 2 in the background. And actually let me, so what I'm going to do in the switcher is I'm going to go, and I'm just going to kind of, actually with camera 2 in the preview, can you see that that lit up? It's got tally lights now. Let me bring this up a little bit. I don't know how well you can see this because there's this really bright screen behind it, but if this has a green light on it now, indicating that this is where the technical director is going to go to next. And what I was going to show you earlier is that they give you these, which are the camera identifiers. So let's drop these on the camera. Anyone who's ever worked in broadcast is bored silly right now. They're like, yeah, thanks for broadcast 101. Hey, I find this stuff interesting. So this is actually camera 2. One thing that I screwed up in my studio is I did my cameras backwards. I usually go 1, 2, 3, but for whatever reason I did 1, 2, 3. And so my main host is on camera 3, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. But I would have to actually like rewire. This might be a thing that I do when, can you even see? When I run the Cat6a cable and we do the CCU, it makes it a little bit easier for me just kind of move things around because I can just move the cables in the back of the camera control unit as opposed to having to rewire through the wall. So if I wanted to switch these cameras, I would have to run new cable around to a new area. I just don't want to deal with that. So here's camera 2. There you go. And if I don't know how well this will work. Let me give this a shot. Watching me do this live on the air. There you go. Right? Now you can kind of see what we see. Let me bring the gain down on that a little bit. Right? So, and then as soon as I go on air, I'll just bring the T-bar a little bit. It actually turns red, right? So you can see that, green indicates it's in preview, and then as soon as that changes to red, it indicates it's about to go on, or it is on air or about to go on air. So that's pretty cool. I think these are these are a really great upgrade. Zeke says, I guess Ethernet might be easier for customers depending on their market, especially if they're not used to having transceivers around the studio. Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind is that broadcast doesn't generally run cameras over LC cable. LC single mode cable is very fragile, and you can get military grade cable that you can drive over, but the termination ends are still fragile. And so they're not super great for broadcast. I've fought fiber optic cable all the time. Ethernet is better. The thing with these cameras is, as I understand it, it is not an actual network. So it is, I'm going to make a lot of assumptions here. I don't know any of this to be true. But what I think they're doing is SMPTE ST2110 over 10 gig Ethernet. As I understand it, it's not set up to plug into a switch because the PoE requirements of the camera exceed that of most switches. I think it's PoE++ or something like that. So it's like 96 watts of PoE, which most switches cannot do. And so I don't think they designed it. See, I don't know, because technically SMPTE ST, if I was right, and it is SMPTE ST2110, that would actually be a multicast stream. And as long as your switch can understand it, I don't, okay. Sorry, you're watching the gears turn in my head. If they didn't set the system up in a way that is designed to be networked, they might all multicast on the same address. And you're going to get multicast collisions in that case. And the CCU is not going to know what to do, everything's going to collide with each other. So as I understand it right now, it is designed to be point-to-point. The Cat6 cable goes from the CCU straight into the camera. There's no network switch in between, which for video is just fine. It would be cool, though, if you could plug it into a 2110 capable switch, or at least a 10 gig switch or 100 gig switch, and route it that way. But again, that adds complexity to the system. And in these systems, you want to keep it crazy simple. Yeah. Zeke said we're geeking out on this stream. Yeah, you could actually watch me try to reverse engineer how they're building these cameras. Also, I do not know for fact that you cannot go from the CCU to the camera. I think I asked someone and they said, yeah, that's probably not possible. But I don't know that to actually be true. So I don't know. I'm excited to play with it and try it out. Again, the CCUs aren't shipping yet, but as soon as they are, I'm going to grab 3 of them, drop them in the studio, see what I can do. My Ubiquity switches don't support 10 gigs, so I would not be able to run the 4K video over them. I'd have to do it point-to-point, but it's also an excuse to get 10 gig Ubiquity switches. Let's see here. Doop. And then I think I answered this saying, hey, they could have kept the SFP. I think Ethernet can still do PoE. But yeah, again, yeah, I did answer that. And then I think Zeke said, studios may not be used to having SFPs around. And that's a very true statement. The way broadcasters would do it is one of two things. You're either one of three things, really. The primary method of moving video around is serial digital interface. And there are multiple versions of SDI. You've got SDS, just SDI, which is 480 megabits per second, 470 megabits per 400 and something megabits, or no, 270 megabits per second. You've got oh God, I don't remember the speeds. I don't remember what SDI runs at. I think it's 470 megabits per second. Then you've got HD SDI, which is 1.5 gigabits per second, 3G SDI, which is 3 gigabits per second, 6G SDI, which is 6 gigabits per second, and 12G SDI, which is 12 gigabits per second. And all of that generally runs over a coaxial cable BNC connection. However, it can also run over fiber, and that's usually single mode fiber. Those are the primary methods of moving video around. And if you're doing fiber, you're usually doing CWDM, which means that you can break the fiber optic into individual wavelengths, and you can cram 18 12 gig signals down a single fiber optic cable, a single strand. So most people who work in networking consider a single cable to actually be two strands because they need RxTX. But in broadcast, a single cable is one single strand. So if you had RxTX, you could actually get, 36 individual 4K 60 frame per second 422 10-bit streams in speed of light latency. It's like 0.7 C because the light bounces around the cable, right? So Jared said, what, no DP? So I get yelled at by my DP if I call him a DP. They want me to call him a DOP, a DOP, a director of photography, for those who don't know. And actually, I do have a director of photography that I generally bring in. Love him. He's absolutely fantastic. He's taught me a good chunk of what I know with regards to how to color cameras and how to do it fairly quickly. And I feel like I did a pretty decent job of doing that by eye on a non-color calibrated screen, right? Fairly quickly. But yeah, I need to sit down and actually spend a little bit more time coloring these things. So the primary method is moving things around via coax or fiber optic cable. Then there's kind of an intermediate method for cameras called SMPTE hybrid. And what that is it's two fiber optic strands, so two it's not LC, but two single mode leads, and then 4 coax leads. And you can go 1,000 meters, a kilometer, something like that. And you can send power, comms, 4K video from the camera. So power to the camera. You can get bidirectional comms. You can actually get bidirectional video. And on the Blackmagic cameras, you can get 4K 60 video at 422 10-bit off the camera in real time, again, 0.7 C. And then you can send 3 HD streams back to the camera for teleprompter, confidence monitor, and then color control, painting control, and then you do it like an operator monitor as well. And that's off of an absurdly expensive cable. Just the terminators on these cables are like $400, which means that even if you get a 1-meter cable, you're looking at $900. And if you want to get a 100-meter cable, you're looking at $1,000 because all of the money goes into those stupid terminators. This is a nice solution because it's more versatile. It's kind of what broadcasters are used to, and it's one cable to the camera and you get everything that you need. The downside is the cables are stupid expensive, and because they're still using fiber optic, if even a speck of dust gets in there, you can have issues dealing with it. Also, the amount of power that they need to send down that line is crazy. So there's a whole bunch of power handshakes that have to occur, so that if you've got a cable that goes through a trench that maybe has some water and someone actually drives over it and slices the cable, you're not going to electrocute a crowd of people, right? So oh yes, SMPTE, SMPTE, Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, for those who don't know. So this, Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. So there are two primary standards groups that you're going to see in broadcast. One is SMPTE, and the other one is MPEG, which is the Motion Pictures Experts Group. And MPEG is going to be kind of more for like the compression and content distribution side, the audio side, the video side of things. And then SMPTE is going to be more for the acquisition side, the broadcast side. So the first method, so SDI is a SMPTE standard. So you've got, well, so Terrence said no triacs. So you've got coax going to the cameras. Back in the day, you used to have something called triacs, which was coax, so the 2 leads, and triacs is 3. You'd have another jack and another lead on the outside of it, which actually some broadcasters are still using. The thing with triacs is, you generally speaking cannot push 4K video down triacs. However, it's time tested. You can field terminate it, sort of, if you've got the appropriate tools. Like, triacs was a standard forever. And that's kind of shifting to SMPTE hybrid. Having said that, I think SMPTE hybrid is a stopgap because the last step in this whole chain is SMPTE ST2110. That just rolls right off the tongue. And I believe that is what the camera ports on. Again, I don't know what maybe they're using 2022. I don't know what the cameras are doing. They could have their own proprietary format, but I'm going to assume that because this is a 10 gig Ethernet port, that they're using SMPTE ST2110. And that is SDI video over IP effectively, which means that you can plug these cameras into a network. And that opens up a whole new world of possibilities, because if you do video routing on a network, like, you can do star topologies, you can do some pretty cool things. The problem is, as I was saying, you can get like 36 cameras at 4K, 422 uncompressed, 10-bit down, 2 strands of fiber optic cable. I forget what it is. Let's see here. It'd be, you can get 10 cameras down those same 2 feeds on SMPTE 2110, assuming you've got a 100 gig SFP transceiver. So right now, it's the SFPs that are the limiting factor, and I'm kind of waiting for the price of those to come way, way down, the switch price to come way, way down, and the speeds of those SFPs to go up so that they can compete with the current CWDM offerings. I think we're like 3 to 4 years away realistically before they kind of cross each over in that chart. Anyhow, ST2110 is kind of the future of where everything's going, and I believe these cameras have it built in. So it's actually kind of cool to see where everything's going. I'm sorry, I just nerded out hardcore with everyone, so there you go. Terrence says basically indestructible, and I assume Terrence is talking about hybrid, SMPTE hybrid, and nope, I have absolutely destroyed SMPTE hybrid cable. They are way harder to destroy than a standard single mode cable, even the military grade stuff, but you can still totally do it, absolutely. Jared, you have a great time. It was great to have you here. Going home to Norway. That sounds awesome, I guess. I would like stories at some time. All right, I got another camera to install here. Let's get this going. And then we've got to install that, and then we'll probably call it a night, because I've been on the air for 1 hour, almost 90 minutes here, which is cool that I can see that on my new Blackmagic Web Presenter 4K. Goodbye, Jared. All right, here's the second camera. Oh no, excuse me, the third camera. What I really want Blackmagic to do is I want this camera without the screen. I want the Micro Studio 4K size camera, but with this sensor, because this sensor is incredible. If I had that, because I want, right now their Micro Studio cameras can't do 4K 60, they can only do 4K 30. I would love to get 4K 60 going. I think that'd be absolutely incredible. 4K 60 HDR is where I want to get to. All right, there's the labels again. Here's the camera. Yeah, the power supply is down there as well, but I don't like the new power supplies that they ship. I prefer using the 4-pin. Also, it's easier. I'm helping Zeke procrastinate from prepping casseroles. Yeah, and you know, Terrence actually brings up a good point. Most TV trucks carry both the SMPTE hybrid and Tri-X cables, even in the IP trucks. Well, and actually, So SMPTE hybrid cable, generally speaking, is going to be for an IP truck because your SMPTE hybrid is usually using SMPTE ST2110 down those fiber optic lines, which I believe is what the URSAs are doing between their backpack and the CCUs. Which is why I think these cameras are also using SMPTE ST2110, because they're already doing that technology in the URSAs. And Blackmagic is great at like kind of taking the technology at the top and then driving it down through their entire product line. So they take this high-end technology and just make it affordable for everyone else. Exhibit A, Davinci Resolve, which I think has become my favorite nonlinear editor. What an incredible, incredible suite that has become. It is the primary edit suite that I use here. And I also use it at Company X, although I think I'm the only one that does. All right, let's move this out of the way. Get this set back up over here. Okay. Yeah, so focus peaking is awesome. I love these new screens. I can clearly see what's going on. I think they're pretty incredible. Oh yeah, well, I was going to rotate everything over, but we can do that at a later time. All right, so here's the third camera. Everything's dry in California right now, so every time I move over here, I'm getting shocks. Okay, come on, there we go. I'm going to miss these cameras. We've had these for a very long time. We had these cameras when they first came out. Actually, kind of similar to these. These cameras have just come out. I think they've only been on the market for a month or two. So Zeke is going to be making a sweet potato and green bean casserole. Oh, Jared, thank you for liking. I appreciate it. That actually helps a great deal. All right. I figured we'd be talking about gender transition. That's the thing that people are usually interested about. But no, we ended up talking about broadcast the entire day. Oh, actually, this is perfect. This is one of each size. I didn't realize I had done that on this one. Oh, I'm going to need to keep this out for it. And lens goes this way. Oh, it's the camera that's on. Cool. Center of gravity is here-ish. Kind of have to guess because I don't have the lens installed yet, so I kind of like try to mentally remember how heavy that is. You need to be here. Smiley, what do I think of the new M1 MacBook Pros? I don't own one yet, so I can't say. I will say that I'm really hopeful for them to release colorful versions of the MacBook Airs, because each one of the hosts. Oh, thank you for whoever pushed that. Each one of the hosts has their own favorite color, right? So mine is purple, Jared is orange, Dutta is blue, and I want to get a coordinating MacBook Air. There's a high-pitched whining sound from something. I want to get the coordinating MacBook Airs for each person, and you'll see it at their desk. Just kind of a subtle, nice little, like, again, just a little subtle flare of color, which I think would be nice. Don't get old. It makes it harder to see things. All right. We'll drop this over here. This is going to be camera 13. That is one of the weird things. It's neither pro nor con. It's just different. In most broadcast scenarios, the camera number is going to be dictated by the port that you plug it into. With the Blackmagic cameras, the port is irrelevant. It's mostly irrelevant. Like, that's going to matter for how the video gets routed, but the control, you actually have to tell the camera what camera number it is for control, which is kind of nice because you can send the same control signal to everything. But if you screw up your control numbers, or if you're not paying attention, it gets very confusing very quickly. Okay, that is outside. Cool, there we go. get this bad boy patch back in. Open the. Also, I love the sunshade on these. It's such a simple yet brilliant engineering design, and it's like perfect for a camera like this when you want to bring it out in the field and just like do a really quick live event. It's super simple to set these things up, and that's another reason I really like them. 0102 power is that there's just not a lot to go wrong. They make it so easy. It's also why I'm really excited for that Ethernet connection with the CCU Ethernet connection, because it's yet another thing. Okay, let's see if I can. So first off, this needs to come over this way. All right, we're going to say that that's good. No, it is crooked, but that's fine. We'll go over here, setup. What did I say? This is camera. This is really going to bother me. That's all right. 13. And roll the foot. Actually, let's get this zoomed in. Ooh, yikes. A little twisty-uppy on the cable there. Okay. Turn my peaking up and see how I'm doing. Great. Oh, this is... There we go. Fairly level. And now let me show you the difference. The interesting thing is, I think this covers more of the image sensor because I had to, or less of the sensor because I had to move the cameras closer. So here's camera 3. All right, let's get this tweaked. Camera 3. I'll pull the gain down. This had been 12 dB. It is now 0. We'll remove 15, 14. So this wants a plus blue. That's better. Let's bring this down. What are you at? Somewhere in there. Let's roll this up. Ooh, too much, too much, too much. Somewhere in there. I feel like I'm going to need to. It is really hard to see. Oops, this needs to reset. Reset, reset. We'll pull this up. It's looking a little bit better. I feel like we need a little bit plus blue. Somewhere in there. Maybe a little less light. Something like that, I think, maybe, right? Let's really quickly just do a, make sure I got the focus set. There you go. So just a really quick setup of this camera. Obviously I can't frame myself. Oh, you know what? I need to get the ident number on there. This is camera 3. Mostly because I screwed up life. So here's number 3. That's not terrible. It's actually pretty good. Assuming this TV is correct. I need to look at it like on a... So I can't afford the really nice color calibrating screens tomorrow because like those are like 10 grand a pop. I suppose I could get a Flanders that costs less, but then I got to run it through a converter and that kind of defeats the point. So, oh, you know what I should do? Let's do this. Oh wait, no, I can do that on this camera. Let's see here. Ooh, shocking. Bring the peaking. Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah, something like this. I think I need to rotate the set a little bit so we get a little bit less of the giant screen thing. Check this out. Eh? You like that? I feel like this is a little bit better for this type of... if I'm going to do that, I have to be here. Or, no. Sorry, I can't just leave good enough alone, can I? Okay, you're gonna watch me make this change live. All right, so this needs to do this. More like that. I think that's a good focus target. A little bit like that. Okay. A little more intimate. That'll work. It's better than before. Kind of get a little bit like that. This isn't terrible, right? I gotta clean this up. I don't know. Terrence said, one year for my birthday, my wife and I did a train ride from Los Angeles to Seattle and identified Vandenberg by the telescope camera trucks. Were they trucks or were they the domes that they had out there? Gotta clean up the desk too. I gotta get... that's correct. I normally don't drink this during the stream. Well, no, what I do drink during the stream, during the live webcasts, I drink Alani Nu. And this one is Cosmic Stardust. It actually has quite a bit of caffeine in it. It's no sugar. It's 10 calories, 200 milligrams of caffeine. Keeps me awake. It's gluten-free, vegan, and a bunch of vitamins. So yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so this question, what do I think about the new M1 MacBook Pros, which was asked a little bit earlier. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really had a chance to use them just yet. So I'm excited to give it a shot. As I mentioned, I want the MacBook Airs. I'm tempted to get the iMacs in the individual colors and drop those on the desk because I think having an interface that we can interact with and look at while we're on the air, and then also have that interface running into the control room, because like, I don't have it up on here. Oh, I have it over here. Like I do have the ability to bring up some of the different... Really? Here you go. Like I can bring up the technical director's computer and we can bring stuff up that way, but it would be kind of cool if as hosts we had computers and we could be like, oh, hey, look what I found, and then bring it in, that way. So you can just see our screen and they can just go to any, the technical director can choose any one of our screens. The other thing I'm thinking of doing is for our Zoom, they've got the Zoom ISO software. But in order to make that work, I need to get a Thunderbolt to PCI converter and get like a decklink card. But then I could stop using Zoom Rooms and maybe simplify that a little bit and get a clean output straight to SDI right out of Zoom. I think with ISO audio, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, Zeke says try to stay under 200 milligrams or 300 milligrams of caffeine per day. I should. I gave up a lot of stuff. I've given up most of a good chunk of my sugar. Having said that, I had one of the cranberry bliss bars before I got here. But I gave up a good chunk of sugar. I've given up a good chunk of carbs as well. And a lot of that actually had to do with after gender confirmation surgery, I have no testosterone generation system anymore. So I basically have effectively, not entirely true, but effectively no testosterone. And so I've started shedding muscle mass because testosterone promotes muscle mass and growth. And without muscle, my metabolism started going down. And so I'm actually gaining quite a bit of weight, but it's all in fat. And so they've actually put me on testosterone, which I will likely be on. I'll likely be on for the rest of my life, along with estrogen. But they have to give me so much testosterone that I can't take it orally. So it's like a cream that I rub into my stomach effectively. And that's to try to get some muscle growth back because I'm trying to get... you can actually see it in my... Let's see if it's still loaded in the system. Media. Nope. That's going to be too much work. You can see it in my transition photo that has the 6 pictures. You can actually see me lose weight and then gain weight again. And I really liked it when I was around 170 pounds or so, which is 77.11 kilograms. And right now, I'm much closer to 200 pounds again, which is 90.71 kilograms. So if I can get back down to 170, I felt like that was a good weight on me. It wasn't too thin, wasn't too thick. It looked really nice, good face shape. It was also for my height, in a healthy range for both male and female, because I do have a male skeletal structure. So I kind of have to, although hormones can impact your skeletal, nope, that's not a true statement. Hormones can impact your bones, but because I'm older, the impact it has is much, much less, and it takes a really long time for it to impact bone structure. So, Ika says, you should have a little bit of tea from your adrenal glands. Yes, that's why I didn't say I have no tea. Like, it's not entirely true that I have none, but the amount that I actually have naturally is so low, it's effectively zero. It's not zero, but it's not a useful amount of testosterone either. Colton asks, should I add WebRTC screen share into Cosmo? Actually, what would be really cool in Cosmo is if you could do a WebRTC conference, super low latency, and we could use that as a way to bring our guests in. Wouldn't that be neat? How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Am I big boned? Kind of. So, I'm not wearing a shirt appropriate for this. I will do my best to show you. So when I gain weight, I gain it in the face, so you can actually see, if you go back to my picture, you can see my face round back out again a little bit. But then I start gaining it right here, kind of under my rib cage expands in size right here in the least sexy way possible. And so it makes me look like I am big boned. But when I lose that weight and I get back down to 170 pounds, this section of my body comes in and it actually creates a really nice shape. And again, 170 is a very good weight for someone like me. It puts me right smack in the middle of the healthy category. I'm not at the bottom of it, I'm not at the top of it, I'm right in the middle. And so that's why I'm targeting that weight, because I think some people try to go too low or think, you know, it's not just a weight, it's how you hold the weight. And I am biologically male. I'm going to hold my weight like that for a bit yet because I transitioned later in life. And so my body's ability to move the fat around is not as good as someone in their 20s or 30s who transitioned then. It's nowhere near as good. It can do it and it will do it. It's just not as fast and it's not as effective. And so, yeah, so I just like, that's fine. These are things that I've accepted. I get it. Let's see here. So Terrence says the iMacs would be too big and cover our faces. No, they wouldn't go here. So the way this would work would be if I were to simulate the height of an iMac, can I do that? I can do it this way. So this kind of goes here, and the iMac would be like right here. Well, maybe it would. iMac would be like right here. So it'd be kind of out of frame, and so we would still have, and you like, I just unplugged it. Let's see if I can get to. I didn't think this through at all when I was going to show you this example. Camera 3, cool. So, you know, if the iMac is here, right, it's still kind of out of the way. I guess it'd be back over here. So it'd be easy. So it's out of my ISO shot, and then it would also be out of the 2 shot for the most part. So you'd be able to see our faces. It's all about framing, right? Having said that, that's why I want the MacBook Airs, because I want that splash of color, because that's kind of what we do here, right? We've got that nice little splash of color. That's the goal, at least. And if the rumors on the MacBook Airs having color are true, and I can get orange, purple, and blue, absolutely. Although Dada's iMac or Dada's computer, the Macintosh should kind of like look things up and not use the TD computer for that. That could absolutely be an iMac, because it's not going to cover, it's part of the control room, right? So it would be, let's see here. Oh, you know what? Now I have to rescan. Boo. Surfaces, rescan. Cool. So if you see on the other side of that chair, there's like a little wooden platform on top of that white thing. That's where the iMac would go. So it's definitely not covering up his shot, right? Did I accidentally close that? Oh, I think I... Dang it. It's fine. Invisidata. Where's my chat room? Here we go. Ika, that's a good point. I can always put a wrap on the laptops. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Johnny Spacer said, what about a Mac Mini with monitors as I like? Yeah, I could do that too. I'm also not in a hurry to do this. I think this would just be kind of a nice add. And so when I see it make sense for us, that's when we'll do it. But, you know, D-brand, yeah. I mean, Ika, I have huge lungs with a 40-inch rib cage. Wish I could reduce it. Yeah, I mean, same deal, right? Like when you go through male puberty, your body, you know, testosterone does its thing, and your body bulks up in the midsection. And yep, it's fine. Like, it's all about the clothing I pick, and yeah. Tony, how much have I invested in the Tomorrow Studio? A good chunk, right? Like the 2 cameras that I just installed, that's like $3,000 worth of hardware that I just installed just today. And then $10,000 for the switcher. Another, so 10, 15, it's $10,000 for the audio, so 10, 20. We'll call it 50,000, 50, 60,000, probably over the last couple of years. I'm not entirely sure. Too much, yeah, too much. But you know, it's, you know, tomorrow, that's exactly correct. Tomorrow is a labor of love. It's something I'm passionate about, and I'm you know, I'm going to spend that money because I enjoy doing it, you know. Also, like, it is a good way for me to, what is the name? It's Elgato Stream Deck, and the software I use is Sorry, I quit out of my software and accidentally. It's not Stream Deck. Companion. Oh my God. There we go. Now I have control again. So anyhow, one of the things I'm thinking of doing is kind of rotating the whole set by maybe 20 degrees this direction so that you get a little bit more of this in the background and not just this giant window planet thing going on. I like the detail of these windows, and I don't dislike this giant window, but I feel like we linger on that camera 2 shot for a really long time. So either the other thing we could do is zoom out of camera 2 quite a bit more so we get some of those additional windows on the side, but something needs to change. Well, thank you, Tony. I really, as someone who enjoys having fans, thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's a labor of love. And, you know, anyone who is a Tomorrow member helps to offset the cost of it. But even if I had no, you know, actually, as a really good example, we did not charge anyone on Patreon through the entire pandemic. And so I just, even though we weren't on the air, I just kept shoveling money because I still have to pay for the studio space, still have to pay for the electricity, still have to pay for the bandwidth, whether I'm using it or not. And so I just kept shoveling that money out the door saying, look, this is going to return. I promise it will return. And I have a nagging suspicion some people thought we were never going to come back. And that I was just like making stuff, I don't know, making stuff up or, you know, whatever the case may be. But we came back, and I really like how the shows are forming. I really like the podcasty format. I think it's, like I said earlier, I think it's just a really great format. All right. Are we winding down? Let's see here. Let's see who we have. I feel like we're starting to wind down. Actually, this is pretty decent looking on my M1 color-wise. It's a little bit, it needs a little bit of love. It's not terrible, but like, it definitely needs, it's a bit green. Has that kind of Sony feel to it, you know? I think I need to cool the image down just a pinch. Johnny said, I knew I'd be back. I just had a lot to go through. Well, thank you. Yeah, I did. I was near positive I'd be back as well, but oopsies. But you don't, how do you convey that to the community at large? I tried. Hopefully everyone understood. Johnny Spacer says, what, no green screen? Ugh. Green screen. I wonder if I can cool this down live on air. Let's see here. What do I need to do? Let's pull this down. Let's pull this down. You know, is it? These aren't 3200, are they? No, there's no. Yikes. They're definitely not 3200. So then, what are they running? 54? I mean, that does look closer. Let's do this live on the air. And we'll do it to this one. I just feel like this is too, I don't know. Let me take a peek back over here, because the screen on this system is actually really good. Wow, that just seems really orange to me. Let's do a, oh, you know what I can do? Outputs, rack screen, studio TV. God, where am I feeding that from? Oh, you know, I think I'm feeding that. Green room TV, cam 4 maybe? Yeah. Cam 4 will do program instead of multi-C. I'm using my switcher's 24 outputs as a router effectively so that I don't need a router, which means that I have all my eggs in one basket. All right, what am I on? Camera 2. Let's do a plus blue. Oh, that's a little better. Oh, that's too much. Eyeballing it. Let's open this up as the real stream and not the fake one. Yeah, HD. Maybe it's not too much. Let's take a little bit of green out. Minus green. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, that pushed red. Maybe I need to... God, Eric would be so disappointed in me. Did I need plus green? No, I did not need plus green. Bring it down to here. No. This is really hard to do because there's a delay. Also, how engaging can I be all at once? Let's pull this up. Ooh, that's going to be too much. How about that? I like that. I feel like I've got a decent... The white of the table looks pretty close. It's still a little bit red. Like in person, it's not quite that red. Let's add just a little bit more. What do we think of that? All right, that's actually it's just a bunch of plus green, or plus blue, excuse me. So we'll do the same thing here. This is number 3, 125, 000, 60. Okay. It's not bad. That feels pretty good. And then we'll do the same thing over here. 250. Ooh, yikes, 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 yikes. 1.25. Okay. So here's camera 2. Here's, camera 3. Lounging a little bit. Oh, those feel about the same, right? Good skin tone match. The background matches. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Feels pretty good. And here's camera 1. Camera 1 might be a little dark. Let's see. What's camera 3 at? Camera 3 is at, oh yeah, it is. Yeah, I think so. Run over really quick. Yeah. Let's see here. Hello, Robert. Oops. Sorry. I know how cameras work. Hello, Robert. Good afternoon. It's evening for me. Terrence is trying to convince Ryan to make a trip to the U.S. to do a show in person. I would love that. We'd bring him to Disney, bring his family out here, make a trip out of it. It'd be awesome. Apparently you could hear the train. Johnny Spacer said, I enjoyed when Tomorrow had the round table with many space lovers. Just needed to be controlled a bit. I feel like that's what the podcasts are, though, right? A controlled version of the round table, aren't they? Right? Like, I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. We can eventually slowly, in fact, maybe I'll do it this weekend. I'll ask Vax if he's available on Friday, and we can put his monitor at the camera 1 spot, right? So just roll the monitor in there, and then it'll be me and 2 virtual people. That might be kind of cool. Ika, he's over 16. What else have we got? So, did I mention my cat? My cat has like a UTI. We had to bring her into the emergency vet. We're having a hard time getting her to take her medicine because what cat wants to take medicine? I feel bad for her. Oh, I'm really happy with how these look now. At least on this screen. Let me, yeah, I feel like that's good exposure, good color, good face color. This is like a gray color. You can pick that out. These are gray. This is a good purple. This is looking nice and crystal clear, right? This has a nice feel to it. It's exposing correctly. This camera must have more dynamic range than the other cameras because like this is looking really great. Which is funny because in person it looks terrible. Like, do you see that yellow over here in that box? It looks white on this screen to me. I wish I could, I don't know how to show, I have no way to show you what it looks like in person because of how it looks on camera, but that's remarkable to me. Oh no, I just realized because I moved this camera, I broke Ryan's, I broke Ryan's effect. Oh well, we'll make him redo it. Sorry, Ryan. Let's see here. Where'd the chat room go? Here we go. No, I think we may have. I think we lost the chat room again. I'll try refreshing. Yep, it's dead. Oh well. Maddie, sorry, I can't bring things up on the screen right now, but I don't know. Ika says I should get reference color cards. I have a reference color card somewhere, like a real, actual reference color card, and we use Scopebox normally. I don't know what happened to the reference color card. It's around here somewhere, and they're stupid expensive. So I just got to figure that out and make that happen. But yeah, I will. And then, so usually what I do is I get the reference color card, I get it lined up on scope so that the scopes say that all the cameras are the same. And then I usually sweeten it up a little bit from there. And for space shows, and you can even see this in the work that I do at Company X, I cool everything down just a little bit. Because a slightly cooler image as opposed to a warmer image tends to feel more futuristic. You know what I mean? It has that extra some going on. Let's see here. Johnny Spacer says the lighting looks good. Thank you. I've actually got two effectively Kino Flows 4 banks, 4x4s, sitting over here. And then I've got an 8-foot bar and then 2 4-foot bars back there. What I really should do is, like, I'd like to lower the backlight a little bit. Oh, maybe I need to move the set that way? Anyhow. Johnny says reference color cards are expensive. Yeah, they're hundreds of dollars. Because they have to guarantee that the colors that they're printing are perfect. And then you have to replace them. I think so you want to keep them out of sunlight. So they've got a black folder usually that they go into, or like a really thick case that they get put into. Keep them out of sunlight, and then you need to replace them every 2 years, I think it is. Because like the colors will shift and fade, and as the moment the colors shift and fade, you can't use it as reference anymore. Maddie, we don't know what the issue is. We brought her to the vet, and the vet said it's one of 2 things. It could be a UTI, or it could be stress. And the thing is, we did recently change her litter box, right? And so the stress of a litter box change might have broken her. And she was struggling with the new litter box. So they gave us 2 different medications. One is in case she has a UTI, and one is in case the litter box is stressing her out. It's to calm her down a little bit. But trying to give her the medication is stressful. So, yeah, and then that's the other thing we're doing, high moisture content. Yeah, so we've moved her to wet foods temporarily. She's just not eating. So what Carrie Ann did, and what I was answering on the text messages earlier, was she got her locked. We've got a kitty litter room. And so she locked her in the kitty litter room with water and food, and obviously her litter box, and that's all the more space she gets for a while. Limit her there, force her to eat that food. That's all the more food she has access to, which will have her medicine baked into it. And then the other cat, who's been hissing at, so Luna is the cat that's not feeling well. Celera is the cat, our other cat. They're both Bengals. They're from the same litter. They normally play with each other, but Celera has been hissing at Luna, and we think that's because Luna probably smells different now, and Celera's freaked out by it. So I feel bad because Luna is going to be... The other weird thing is, it was hard to tell something was wrong because when she went into pain, instead of like running away, she did the opposite. She actually came to us and got super lovey. She was rubbing up against us. She was super purry. She was like, give me pets. And, you know, at least when I get sick, I suppose I do like love and attention when I'm sick. Carrie's a little bit the opposite. But like, it felt weird. Yeah. And actually, Johnny Spacer, we had a litter robot. That's actually what we moved away from. We moved to a cat genie. The difference being the cat genie links into your plumbing, and you don't really have to mess with it, in theory, on paper. So it cleans the granules, it flushes everything down, it takes care of the solid and the liquid, dumps it all into the toilet, and that's that. You're done. And you just basically have to put new cleaning fluid in it every few months and top up the granules every once in a while. But it is a major change in the litter box because you can't use litter in the cat genie. You have to use their granules. And I'm not sure that we gave them in fact, we must not have given them enough acclimation time. Now we put it in the exact same spot. We did like scent stuff for them so they could smell it and all that other fun jazz, like moving their smells into it, but it must not have been enough. So right now we've moved them back to the other litter. We've not moved them back to the litter robot. That's still sitting in the garage. We didn't throw it away, it's just sitting down there. There are some engineering things that I'm not a huge fan of on the litter robot, but frankly, there's some engineering things I'm not a huge fan of on the cat genie either, so yeah, whatever. Not pills for the kitty, it's 2 syringes. So we can either mix it into her food or we can do the whole hold her and then like inject it in the side of her mouth sort of thing. But we don't declaw our cats because that's cruel. And so you can, oh, maybe you can't. Hang on, let me see if I can. There you go. That's a side effect of trying to take care of my kitty. Ha! Double entendre. Yeah, there's definitely a different image. I think it covers less of the sensor now, potentially, with the MFT glass. Ooh, I wonder if that makes sense. If this was, you know what? Because I had to move the cameras in order for these cameras to fill the same frame. I had to move them closer. If I had to move them closer, that means that the MFT glass isn't hitting as much of the sensor. So I wonder if they're using the same sensor that they have on the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. I have to look at the specs, see if they match up. But like, I wonder if it's that same sensor, and then because it's not EF glass, the MFT doesn't fill as much of the sensor and they just crop that edge out so you don't get vignetting, right? That makes sense, which would explain why I had to punch in a little bit. Although that's 6K. Oh no, that would explain it because it's 6K, so they're punching into 4K and then maybe they needed to go in just a little bit more. Yeah, Johnny Spacer says no decline. Yeah, no, I mean, we agree. It's like, it would be like ripping my nails out. Although I don't have a large toenail on my big toe because I had that ripped out. So I do know what it's like to be declawed, and it is not pleasant. Johnny Space, I too have that on my hand. Maddie says, mommy scars. Yeah. Yeah, Zeke, back in the day, it was normal to have cats declawed. It was what you did. Like, I didn't think anything of it. And so I've had cats for a chunk of my life, and my cat from 20 years ago, I think was it 30 years ago now? 20 or 30 years ago. God, I'm getting old. I had her declawed, just the front claws, because I didn't know. And Maddie says, actually, it's like cutting the entire tip of your finger bone. Yeah. We obviously, like, once I didn't know, and so I just did what everyone else did. But now that I know, I obviously don't do that. So neither one of the cats are declawed. We bring them in, take care of it, like trim them and whatnot, but like no decline. Yeah. What else have we got here? I'm starting to fall asleep. I had a pretty hectic week. Oh, Zeke said we were afraid they would hurt the puppy. Turns out they got along fine. Unnecessary nuclear option. Yeah, I mean, I get it. At the same time, like, we love these pets, right? And so we try to make decisions that are best for them. And like any parent, we screw up from time to time. And like, I'm actively screwing up with Luna right now because I don't know how to make it better for her, and it is killing me because I just want her to feel better, and I can see she's in so much pain. I can see her struggling to urinate, and like, that poor cat. But I can't, I'm trying to, and she has to take her medication, but she really doesn't want to. And if this is all being caused by her being stressed out, forcing her to take the medication is stressing her out. Yeah. Anyhow, that's fun. Oh, you know what? I need to put, hello, wind. There's so much wind, it's shaking the building. Let's go to camera 4, and we're going to say that this is, I think it's multi-C. Yeah. This is really great. I'm really, really liking the, I wonder if I can get to the multi-view. Try to show you what I see. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's going to go infinite on me because like it's a multi-view in a multi-view in a multi-view. It's going to go infinite. This is going to be interesting. So this is what we see on our... So the top left of the screen, that's preview. The top right is program. So left is what I was talking about earlier on the screen. Left is what's about to be on air. Right is what is on air. And then down below, we can actually see what has been rendered by the social media system. So when I say, oh, hey, here we go, oh, dear God, right? I can see that that's been rendered. It's been changed on this screen, but then it's also been changed below me because we don't always have it up here. The nice thing about that is then our moderators can actually push changes to that. They can press the red button and it will render for us, and we can go, oh, hey, we have a comment from Robert, says, oh, dear God, and go from there. And then this is the screen I see. And then in the lower right-hand corner, we normally have just a view of Ryan, but for this particular thing, I feel like I think I need to change those settings on that, on the view meters, because the view meters don't match what I have. I'm probably just monitoring the wrong thing. Anyhow, the bottom right is normally just a shot of Ryan, just so we can see what he's doing, so we can, yep, infinite Jamies. And then this is, yeah, this is what Ryan sees, which is that what Ryan sees, or does he see this? No. Yeah, he sees that, God. So preview, let me put something else in preview. There we go. So he's got preview on the left, program on the right. There you go, Robert, right? So, so Robert's asking, is the background, actually let me put Cam 2 in preview. Is the background a file of pics, or how does that happen? Yeah, it's actually part of the web interface. It just randomly selects one of the pictures and renders it, which I think is pretty cool. Although to Colton's concept, like I'd like to re-examine how all of that looks. And then in the lower right-hand corner, he actually sees a shot of camera 2, so he at all times can see the studio. So he knows, like, we can get, like, if he's talking or doing whatever, he can always see us and we can always see him, no matter where we are in broadcast. And then let me show you the other multi-views, just in case you're curious. So this is the primary multi-view for Dutta. So you can see across the top, he's got the 4 different cameras. The next row down, he's got Zoom Room 1. The row below that, Zoom Room 2. And then below that are all the different media generation systems. So the social system, a couple of the media players, and the digital disc recorder, which isn't really a recorder, it's just a playback system, is Casper CG. And then we also have a screen scrape of the Casper system, but that media, so those 2 black screens are Terranex minis that have cooked themselves live, because the Terranex has terrible thermal properties on it. And it, like the one on the end, it just sucks cold air in from the side and pushes it through the other side. But when you have 3 of them side by side, which is how they want you to rack it up, the one on the end overheats. And that is always the one that fails. And lo and behold, those 2 units are the ones on the end of the rack. So, yep. What else have we got here? And then multi-view. This is the multi-view for the engineering room. And this is an interesting idea. So this is quad. This is one of the quads. So you can actually see it's breaking the image into 4 sections that we can then bring to air at any time, however we want, right? And the reason I did that is because I was trying to make it so that we could get like a Zoom room and split it into 4 perfect sections, or do it with TrueConf or something like that. And then instead of needing to output individual SDI things from the computer, the quad would automatically just cut it into 4 individual windows that we could bring on air. I thought that was really cool. That was one of my experiments that miserably failed, because Zoom in all of them either puts a border around it or it moves the window around. And so while I thought it would be a really cool way to do it, it did not end up working. Maybe someday. Yes, thought about covering the space in between the tables. Yeah, this annoys me. I don't like this right here. One thing I would like to do is rotate this TV 90 degrees so it's much like how Space Mike used to be, and then get Ryan framed so he's about this size. And then have him do the cool globy thing that he was doing before, and kind of like have that go down so it's almost as if he's sitting here with us. But I don't want him to rotate his camera like Mike used to do. That's how we made that effect work with Mike, but you'll notice we were never able to go to Mike full screen because his camera was rotated. So in order to make that go, I need to rotate the image and zoom into it in software. And I don't have the constellation we have. Hello, Nate. The constellation we have will not do image rotation. It will do zooming, but not rotation. So I need to figure out how I'm going to rotate that image. I just don't know what I'm going to do yet. So I'll get there. I think I have an old constellation somewhere that does do image rotation, and Zoom is coming out 1080p, so maybe that's what we do. I run it through there, rotate it, shoot it in that way. I tried rotating in the Terranex, but it doesn't look like the Terranex can do rotation, so nah. Yeah, so it's difficult to get this further forward. You can't see it, but the feet of the TV are running into the feet of the table. I might be able to get that around that, but like everything is working against everything else. Robert, Ryan's Zoom, we can set Ryan to HD. We control the Zoom account on our side, and we can force HD. So yeah, as long as he's got a good enough connection, we can get 720. The thing is, on the TV, you're not going to be able to tell, right? So we rotate the image and we zoom into it, and yeah, we're going to lose a lot of fidelity, but we've lost so much fidelity on this set already that you can't tell. It's just not going to be picked up by the lens on that side. And so it's fine, right? We'll lose the fidelity, and then when we cut to it normal, like when we cut to it when there's no zooming or anything, it's just normal. And so you're not losing any fidelity that way. It's 1-to-1. I kind of want different tables. I don't know. You know what I really want? I want a round table. I want a literal round table. I'll sit over here, like a giant round table. I sit over here. Jared sits over there. The TV sits 90 degrees up. And then if we've got 2 guests that are remote, it's 2 rotated TVs. And the nice thing is that I can bring in any one remote. I don't need to tell them anything about their camera. If my systems take care of the rotation, done and done, right? The only thing I need them to do is, normally you're like this close to your laptop. I'm going to need them to be like that, right? I need them to be a little bit further away, because when I rotate and zoom in, it's also going to make them bigger, and I don't want like big giant head on the screen, you know? And yeah, these are easy enough to rotate. It's a square mount, so I'll just pull that off, move it around. Oh, an order from Apple has shipped. Oh, Carrie's new Apple Watch has shipped. Yay. An astronomical globe. No, you know what we need? We need like some sort of astrology thing as close to Jared as we can get it, like Aquarius, Pisces, like right over here, like a tablecloth. but then like pointed at Jared somehow. Nate, I think it would be a really cool effect. I just need to figure out how to get a 90-degree. It's not just a 90-degree. It's not just a 90-degree rotation. It's also a zoom in. However, if I can rotate it, the constellation can do the zoom. I'll have to steal a mix effects bus for that, but that's easy enough. But I gotta figure out how to rotate. If anyone knows how to rotate, for cost-effectively rotate an SDI signal 90 degrees, that would be awesome. I suppose I could run it through OBS. See, it's not cost-effective though, and it's like, it's crappy. Right, because I could bring it into the canvas, rotate it on the canvas, do a decklink output that way. But then I gotta take a decklink input to do it, so I'm gonna take I think it's like a 4-frame hit or something ridiculous like that. So lip sync is gonna be off. What is that? So that's 41. It's gonna be 164 milliseconds off when it's on the TV. Plus, the render time on the TV is probably about 170 milliseconds off or so. Yeah, it wouldn't be a TV screen audience. No. It would be, I think it would look pretty cool because it would feel kind of like they're here. Kind of like what we used to do with Space Mike. He was a master at that too. He was so great at that. And Johnny Spacer says, worry about milliseconds. Wow. Did you hear how many milliseconds it is? That's 170 milliseconds. That is a lot. You can start to detect, so people who work in broadcast can see a lip sync error of 1 or 2 frames, right? Like when you work in the industry, you can start to see it at 1 or 2 frames. I used to be able to see it at 1 frame. I've gotten older. Now I can see it at around 2 frames or so. But you, the general viewer, will absolutely notice it at 4 frames, guaranteed. And you'll be like, this feels weird. It's not in sync, and it messes with your brain. And so, like, that's a problem. And the issue is going to be that this will be coming in at a much more latent speed than what the raw feed will be coming in into. Yeah, exactly. Same issue. Bluetooth has latency, built into it. So why you don't generally use Bluetooth for comms when you're sitting next to the person you need to speak to. God, I've been going for a really long time. It's 2.5 hours. I should probably go home. I am really happy with how this ended up getting colored and looks. Oh, it's kind of hard to tell, by the way, but I wonder if I have, well, I'll deal with it later. I had electrolysis, and so this whole, I guess I mentioned that earlier. That whole part of my face is swollen and hurts. Let's see here. Johnny Speaker asks why, but I don't know why. I don't know what the question to why is to. Oh my God, 200 plus millisecond ping time. Somebody needs Starlink. 42. I mean, I can stay if you guys have great questions, but I feel like we're kind of winding down here. Right? I mean, I say we're winding down, but our viewership is going up. Hi, all new viewers. How are you guys doing? Also, the ultimate answer to life, universe, and everything. Oh, you've ordered a Starlink. Oh, congratulations. Taylor, good evening. Plans for Thanksgiving. So Carrie Ann and I have kind of a tradition of, with the exception of last year, because everything was broken last year, so we don't count last year. Since we moved out to California and since we became Club 33 members, every year we've gone to Club 33 on Thanksgiving because it's a phenomenal meal. It's absolutely delightful. It's an excuse to get dressed up and kind of play nice. Because you can only, there are 2 sides to Club 33 at Disneyland. There's kind of the more casual member side, but that gets shut down on Thanksgiving because, you know, got to let as many cast members as you can like go home. And then they keep the more formal side open. And we just, like, we really enjoy the cast members and we enjoy spending time with them. We try to go early so that they can get out early too and spend time with their family. And yeah, so that's what we like to do, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow. I think we've got like a 4 p.m. dinner or something like that. I'll grab some turkey. Karen will probably grab the seafood, and it's likely going to be absolutely delightful. I'm really excited for it. How about you guys? What do you have planned for Thanksgiving if you're in the United States? Maddie says, poor Jamie, electrolysis, especially my hardcore version, is rough. I don't know that my version is any more or less rough than... So there are 3 versions of electrolysis. The original version that they made in like the 1800s is called galvanic, and that's actually what I do. There's a newer version called thermolysis, which I would argue is not electrolysis because it doesn't actually use electrolysis to kill the hair. It uses heat, hence the term thermolysis, to zap the hair, which is very similar to how laser works. But that heat can destroy the bonds in your skin and can create pitting in the skin. You might be able to get rid of that pitting using it's where the microneedle thing, or you might not. You also may not get pitting. It all depends on your skin. But like there is a very real chance of skin damage, potentially permanent skin damage, using thermolysis. So I am not a fan of thermolysis. And then there's a third technology called blend, which is literally a blend between galvanic and thermolysis. And it sounds like it'd be the best of both. The thing with galvanic is it's super slow. It takes like 5 to 7 minutes per hair, right? So you put a needle in on one hair at a time, you electrocute it for 5 to 7 minutes, and then you rip the hair out and you move to the next hair. Thermolysis is like seconds. It's like 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds per hair. So you put it in, zap it for 10 seconds, rip it out, move to the next one. So with thermolysis, it moves, actually I think thermolysis is closer to 5 seconds. It moves much, much faster, and you get results much quicker than you would with galvanic. Then blend, you would think, but then you've got the downside of the potentially damaging it. So it's both. So it would be like, well, you move really quickly, but you get the advantage of galvanic. But that's not exactly the case. You actually move a little bit slower, so you're like 10 or 15 seconds. I think it's closer to 10. It is creating electrolysis, so it's actually zapping it, and it is creating, the electrolysis is breaking apart the core elements under your skin, and you're basically getting lye that is destroying the skin at the base, or not the skin, excuse me, the hair. It's destroying the hair at the base. And that lye kills the hair, but then you also overheat the hair, double killing the hair. So it sounds brilliant, except that it's the reason you need to leave the galvanic in there for like 5 minutes is it takes a hot minute for that lye to actually form and do its thing. And if you don't let it sit long enough, it's not going to actually kill the hair. So you're not actually doing a whole lot with the electrolysis that's happening, but then also you could potentially damage the skin because you're overheating everything again. So it's like the worst of both worlds, and it's slower than thermolysis. Having said that, because you're generating lye, it does have a much better kill rate than thermolysis. Thermolysis does not have a great kill rate. Blend has the second best kill rate, a little bit below galvanic, and galvanic has the highest kill rate of 80 to 90%. So when they do galvanic and they hit a hair, there's a 80 to 90% chance that hair is gone forever and will never come back. With galvanic, it's 60 to 70%, I believe, and I was never able to get a number on thermolysis because I think it's a scam, and I don't think they have real numbers on it, and I think it's like under 50%, closer to like 40%. I don't know, I'm making that number up, because I can't find real data on it. So here's the other thing with galvanic, is they don't, unlike thermolysis and blend, which they do one hair at a time, with galvanic, it's so slow, they actually do 16 or 32 at a time. So they've got 16 or 32 needles that hang down, and they stick all 16 or 32 in, and then they electrocute you. So you've got 32 objects sitting in your face, electrocuting you, and then they rip them all out. So you actually do get an efficiency gain because, yeah, it is taking 5 minutes per hair, but you're doing 32 hairs all at once, as opposed to blend or thermolysis, where it takes 5 or 10 seconds, sure, so it's much faster, but you can only do one at a time. So It does, galvanic is still the slowest method. Like the math doesn't work out. But yeah, it is hardcore. Like it does suck. And it hurts. Something fierce, like this whole part of my face is swollen. And I had this done on Monday, and it's now Wednesday, and it's still swollen. It will be swollen for the next week or so. And like there's damage to the skin. And let me be clear, electrolysis, galvanic, does damage the skin. You're basically sunburning your skin, but it recovers pretty quickly. And you generally speaking, like everyone's different, but you're probably not going to get pitting. It's not going to break apart the skin, the bonds that hold your skin together. So you're not going to get permanent damage and pitting. So yeah, it takes longer. It costs more. It is more painful, but the end result is one of the best. Having said that, if I were to do it all over again, I should have started with laser, because laser probably would have removed 80 to 90% of my hair much faster, with much less pain, with much less money. It probably would have been permanent, even though they say laser is not permanent. I've done laser from the neck down. It's permanent. Like, that hair is not growing back. So I should have done laser first and then cleaned up all of the lighter color hairs that laser couldn't get, or the really, really thick hairs that I couldn't get to, with galvanic. That's what I should have done. That's what I recommend. Actually, I recommend you look at your own skin type and you understand what your own needs are before you go into it. But like, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want. So
Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh, hush. I am doing this to remove my beard, Johnny Spacer. So like, it's a hair removal process. You can remove any hair on your body, Beard hair is some of the hardest hair to kill. And this is the most effective way to do it. So if you wanted to get, so what you could do, and there are people who have done this, where if you've got a weird beard line that kind of doesn't go nicely down here, or you don't want to shave down here anymore, you can do electrolysis just on this section down here, have all of that hair permanently killed, and now you don't need to shave that anymore. Here's the thing. Let's just say you never want to shave again, right? That's effectively what I'm going for. I don't want any beard hair ever again. I have been doing this since 2019. Every month for 6 hours. I'm tens of thousands of dollars in, and I still have probably another year in front of me before my beard will be completely dead. So going, oh, this sounds like a great way to kill my beard. You need to understand it's going to take 3 to 4 years if you do galvanic and you do it once a month. You can do it more often than that. Like, you don't have to do 6 hours at a time. You could do, like, I started with, I think, 2 hours every week, but it was really difficult to, like, that's a lot more time. It's easier for me to take 1 day off per month than it is to take 1 day off, like 1 half day off per week. So, yeah, just know that it's a time and money investment if it's something you want to do. It's not going to be overnight, and it's going to hurt a lot. A lot. Yeah, Maddie's got it. Look in the mirror, see no hair is worth it. Here's where I'm at with my electrolysis. So in order to do electrolysis, you have to grow the hair out so that they can stick the needle underneath it and pull the hair out. So it has to be something that they can grab onto. So it has to breach the surface and be long enough for them to grab onto. Ideally long enough so they can see the angle of attack, so they can get the needle in at the correct angle. I'm now at a point where I have to let my hair growth is slowing down because lack of testosterone, estrogen, and all that other, and like they've killed the bulk of it. I can let my hair grow for a week, and if you look at me and you see me, it'll look like I have bad skin, but it won't look like I have a beard. Almost all of this is dead. Most of this is dead. They're basically working on this area right here and this area right here. That's it. That's all that's left for me. And so it's really nice. Now the thing is, there are stragglers. And so I've got I always have a few stragglers sitting on the upper lip still. So every time I go in, the nice thing is, like, the last session I did on Monday, they'd been spending about an hour to an hour and a half every session just on the upper lip. But this last Monday, they only spent 30 minutes on it. And they got everything out in that 30 minutes. And I think the next time I go, maybe it'll be 10, 15 minutes. So getting closer. Yep, as Johnny Spacer says, expensive Gillette razors are still economic. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I do is I do twilight sessions. And so I'm paying to have effectively an anesthesiologist there. It's not quite that, but like I'm effectively paying to go under anesthesia. And so it costs more than double when you do it that way. So I'm about $30,000 in for hair removal. I'm also including laser hair for the, yeah. And Maddie is correct. Razors don't get the shadow, but I don't have a shadow anymore. That's the nice thing. No shadow, no shadow. Little bit of shadow right over here. It just looks weird. It looks, but because it's like these two lines, it's not what you're expecting to see in a beard. And so you don't perceive it as a beard on me. And that's partly because my electrologists are very good at what they do. And so they attack the hair in a really logical way so that they can get the best results the fastest, so that when you go out and about and you have to go back in for, so you can transition the fastest, even though it's a very, very slow process, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let's see here. Robert says, I could not imagine going through that. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, it hurts. It hurts a lot. I think I never appreciated how important hair was to transition. Not just facial hair, but also hairline right here. And so I have spent more money on hair for my transition than anything else. In fact, the least expensive thing I have done for transition from a surgery type standpoint, or like, procedural standpoint, was gender confirmation surgery. Believe it or not, face surgery costs more than gender confirmation surgery. Hair surgery, if you combine them, costs the most. No, it doesn't, but it's up there. Yeah. Taylor asks, what has been your experience with health insurance during my transition? Any support from them? Nope. I have paid, almost completely out of pocket. Now, I don't want to say that's by choice, because that's not, because the insurance companies kind of forced me into it. I think insurance is effectively a scam that I'm forced into, and I wish I didn't have to pay for it. I think the whole system is broken, and we need to get rid of insurance companies in their entirety. I could have fought the insurance companies and delayed my transition by 2 to 4 years and continue to fight them and make them pay for the procedures that they are legally bound in the state of California to pay for. Like, let's be clear, they are required to pay for these procedures. They pre-approved my electrolysis and still wouldn't pay for it. But in order for me to fight that, the amount of energy that I have to put it, like, they're smart. They know that they make it very difficult. And I just don't have the time or effort to fight them on this. So what I think I'm going to do is get similar stories of people together where, they said they would take care of it and they didn't. Like, I can point to other people at company X that have this exact same issue with insurance companies. Get a group of us together and make it, they made it really difficult for us. I think the only way they're going to ease up is if we make it really difficult for them. So I won't go into too much more detail, but that's kind of my plan. Yeah, Robert, you're not wrong. Feel bad for the American healthcare system. It's broke. Nate said, oh, it's so much a scam. It's absolutely a scam. It's absolutely a scam. They say that they'll cover something and then they don't. They come up with any excuse that they can come up with to say, oh, there's a decimal out of place in some it's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Johnny Spacer says, too bad you can't use an estrogen chemo in the same way you do testosterone. Yeah, so I think I could, actually. The testosterone is I have to go to a compounding pharmacy in order to get it. And I have not asked my HRT doctor yet. So hormones take a hot minute for them to work into your system and become part of your bloodstream, I guess. And so I'm going to be on the testosterone cream for a month and a half or so, and then go back to my normal hormone doctor. We'll draw new blood. We'll see how my levels are. Like they should be toward near cis females levels. That's what we're targeting here. And if they're good, I can ask and be like, hey, can they compound it? Can they make it just one cream that's like the estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone like all in one? So just do that once per day. I don't know. We'll see. Nate, what's the logic on calling it Company X versus the full name? Is it just to keep the shows visually separate as possible from the company? Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. I don't want people to think that I speak on behalf of Company X, that my views or opinions here have anything to do with Company X, or that this show is in any way associated with Company X. So even though everyone knows what Company X means, if I don't say their name, it's much harder to draw that association. It's also why I really just generally don't talk about Company X, or if I do, it's not anything to do, it's more to do with like, I tried to build a cable and I failed, right? It has nothing to really do, it's more of a story about me than it is Company X itself. It has nothing to do with anything that Company X is planning or doing. I just don't. And actually, if you watch me in the live shows, as soon as Ryan starts talking about Company X, I actually push my microphone away and I lean back. And yeah, I might chime in with a smart-ass remark from time to time, but it's very separated. There's a very clear line in the sand there. I mean, Robert, you're always free to ask questions. I just will say I can't answer them, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, is what it is. Nate says, I've been building cables for 3 days. My fingers hurt. Yeah, it depends on the type of cable. If you're doing so, my team normally likes the single piece BNC compression units. So you strip back the cable and you slide the end on. You effectively push it all the way down, and then you've got a compression thing that kind of grabs onto it from the top and pushes down on it. I don't like those. I actually prefer the 3-piece kits, mostly because I have weak hands and like those things just rip the skin off of my hands. But the 3-piece kits, they're so much easier. You don't have, there's no like, you put the sleeve on, you strip the cable down, you put the end on, you crimp that down, you slide the other side down, you pull the sleeve back, you crimp it together, you're done. You don't have to like force the end on. Johnny Spacer says, my feminized voice seems so much more natural than when you first started in public. Well, thank you. I feel like it still has a lot of work to go. It still dips too low. I still drop off of cliffs. If you listen to me on the phone, you're probably going to think male, not female. But it is a lot better than when I first started. And it's because it's a muscle that you have to train. And much like if you're going to work out or anything, right? You're endurance training, anything, you have to practice. And unfortunately, it just sucks at first, and there's no way around that. There's no surgery that gets you around that, because I can do a surgery to lift my pitch up, but I can't change my inflection with surgery. And the only thing I can do is practice tongue placement, tongue placement in the front and the back, mouth shape, and and lifting my voice forward. So, yep. Rick says, sometimes the insurance works for the patients. When my wife was in the ICU, the bill was $500,000. My out-of-pocket was $2,400. But it's that See, here's the thing. Why is the price up to here? See, this is where the system is broken. This shouldn't have happened in the first place, right? That's not a thing. That's not a thing that should have ever happened. This doesn't happen in other places in the world. So we look at this and we go, oh, hey, insurance saved me. But no, it didn't, because this is ridiculous. The core concept here is broken. Now, that's not the insurance company's fault, although it kind of is a little bit because of some of the deals that they have, but this is a problem. And we can't fix this if we still have insurance companies around, I don't think. Now, I can't get rid of insurance companies, but if they're going to make my life painful, I can make their life painful. I can make them think twice about doing this to other transgender men and women. So, yeah. But anyhow, God, it's like 10 o'clock now, and I've been on the air for 3 hours, and Carrie Ann is probably wondering where I am. So, God, everything's backwards. I'll Also, I didn't do my hair, and you can see, I don't know how well you can see it, but this is the new hair transplanted stuff. It still's poofy, right? So it does not want to sit down. It's getting better, but like in the morning, it just sits straight up like this. It's hilarious. Yeah, so ask certain healthcare providers what it would cost out of pocket. That's the place I'm at now. So for all of my transgender surgeries, I just assume insurance will deny it. I tell them I don't think insurance is going to cover it, and I just need to know what the out-of-pocket price is. The thing is, with transgender care, they're used to that. And they brace you for that. They're like, you need to be prepared to pay for this. And I'm like, I'm from California. They're like, it don't matter. I'm like, it's the law. And they're like, it don't matter. So, yep. Is what it is. I'm very, very fortunate that I was in a financial position to be able to do this. The reason it cost me so much money is because I'm moving pretty quickly. Keep in mind, I've gone from completely male to almost fully transitioned, arguably fully transitioned, other than a little bit more hair and one more modification to the bottom surgery in about 2 years. That's really fast. That's about 2x the normal speed. It usually takes much, much longer. And part of the reason it takes longer is simply because insurance sucks and people have to wait. There are other reasons that it takes longer too. I'm very fortunate that Company X is who they are, and they don't care. And they're just like, yeah, just get your work done. So, yeah. Yeah, Colton actually has, like, this all gets priced based on what they can charge insurance companies. Anyhow, on that note, I think we've got the new cameras installed. Everything's kind of hooked up and working. I think everything looks great. I'm really happy with how, I'm not even going to oh, you know what? I need to save this switcher config. We're going to save startup state, save as tomorrow switcher. Save that at the desktop. Sweet. There we go. Oh, the other cool thing we can do when we have remote guests is, yeah, I'm going to need to do, okay, I need that, and then, that'll work. So I have to basically get in frame, but, sorry, I know I'm out of frame on this other camera, but we can go to a double. So I can actually, this way. Oh, that's a little bit annoying. I'd have to switch that around so I could look at the TV. But like, I can have the zoom on one side and something else on the other side. And then we actually also have, we can even go to a triple. And if I have it, let me see if I've got it saved still. I can even go to a quad, right? So we can bounce between a bunch of different things. And so like when we're doing, let's just say we do bring Vax on, we could actually go to a shot like this. I have to, actually if we put me in the middle, that'd be kind of cool because then I could turn to either, whatever. And then we could put Ryan in the next screen over and then Vax in the next screen over, and we could all just, I don't know. It's kind of neat. It's a little bit newsy, but like I also feel like it's kind of cool, you know? Dang it. What I think should be camera 1 is camera 3, and what I think should be camera 3 is camera 1, and it's driving me crazy, and I did it to myself. I did it backwards to myself, and I don't know why I did that. So stupid. So stupid. All right. Taylor says, I have to slide back into frame. Last random question. When's the earliest acceptable date to buy a Christmas tree in 2021? After Thanksgiving. You got to get into December, I think. Rick asks, is my vocal change all through control or was there physical changes involved? I mean, it's hard to answer that question. Ultimately, though, it was through vocal training. So working with a vocal coach, listening to the words I was saying, listening to, it's basically you have to E-ify things. So men speak with an O sound, women speak with an E sound. So E-ification of words. Easy onset and offset. So not starting words or ending words in a staccato, like hard way. Men tend to do that. Women tend to ease into words and back out. Speaking with a lot more variation like that inside of the vocal pattern. So going up and down quite a bit more. Men are much more monotone. This is funny. It sounds a little sexist, but like it's what you need to do. Flourishing my sentences. So adding a lot more words into my sentences that may or may not be necessary to the sentence to describe things. I have to flourish my sentences quite a bit more. So that one has been a struggle for me. That has been a struggle for me because I try to be as efficient as possible. Nope. And then resonance. So when boys go into puberty, the vocal folds increase effectively in mass and it pulls the voice down into the chest. And so men speak from like right here. Women don't get that. Girls don't have the vocal fold mass increase like boys do. And so they generally speak from like right here. And so it was training myself to lift my voice up and forward, which is tricky. Like all of this took time and it's all muscles, right? So I had to train those muscles, which is why at first it sounded super fake. It's why it's still not perfect because there's still a lot of training. And you can actually hear, as I'm talking about it, I'm like concentrating on my words a little bit more and I'm doing a little bit better because I'm concentrating a little bit more. And when I start going into technical jargon, you can hear my voice pitch drop. So it's also about pitch, but not as much. Men and women actually have a very large overlapping pitch range, but women generally do have a higher pitch. So raising my pitch up, easy onset and offset, it helps. It helps a lot. And then like pulling, I have to pull the back of my tongue up effectively when I'm making words. Anyhow, no E. Back home to Carrie Ann, there's no E at the end. Otherwise you got it right. Oh yeah, Robert, actually that's a good point. It's basically singing using your head voice. So that's what it is. It's learning to like pull everything out and forward, and you can literally feel the difference in the chest. So when I'm doing it wrong, I can feel my chest resonate. Literally, I can feel it resonate. When I'm doing it right, most of that resonation's gone. Now, there's still a little bit of like sound or waves, right? So there's still a little bit there, but it's nowhere near as much. So, Ika, relabel the cameras so it works for me. That's not quite how it works. Like, 1 needs to correspond to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3. Otherwise, it's going to get very confusing because I'll say, hey, cut the camera 3, and he's going to go to the wrong camera. The camera numbers need to match what's in the switcher. I can move the cables around, but oh my God, is that a pain in the ass. So I'm not going to do that until I get the CCUs and I can run 10 gig Ethernet, at which point it's super easy to change the cables around. But like, yeah. All right. On that note, thank you everyone for sticking with me. I'm really pleased with the image quality of the HD stream that we're getting. I'm probably going to try moving it to a higher bitrate next week because this is the medium bitrate off of the system. Stream health. Yeah. This is the medium bitrate off of the system and it's running at a bitrate that I can't see. About 4 megabits per second. I think I can get a little bit more out of it. So I'll try to do a higher quality encode. And yeah, have a great Thanksgiving for those of you in the US. This has been a lot of fun. And I'll see you in the next live show, which may or may not be Friday. I haven't figured out what we're going to do there yet. But I wanted to get these cameras installed for that. So talk to you later. Bye.